screen. The scope of that camera is the stage. So just so you understand. This is an amazing night. I hope I'm not going to cry. So this year we celebrate our 25th year. 25th year. I can't think of any better way to kick it off than the launch of this brand new facility, the Mark Lipscomb Center for Nutrition and Family, and our Cancer Stories, which has been in operation for 5 years, but the first time here on this campus. So it's a very moving night for all of us. It's taken a lot to get to this point. This particular facility, for those of you who don't know, will allow us to deliver in-person and virtual programming around the world, focused on things like nutrition, education, mind-body wellness, and you might not be aware, but Lolas is our clubhouse for kids, dealing with an adult in their life who has cancer or their own. So for us, we're not a helpline, we're not just a brochure or a discrete program. We are a lifeline for people, building a sense of community and connection and hope, no matter who you are or where you live. We serve New Jersey, we serve 45 states across the country we're getting referrals from, and people outside the United States. When I think of where we started to now, it has been a truly amazing journey. And while we're not totally ready for prime time, so there might be some glitches tonight, so just bear with us, we are excited to have you with us. I think, when I think about the work, I've been doing this now for almost 14 years, we're always asked, can we share a member of ours, a patient, a caregiver who can share their story about the impact that cancer has had on their lives. There is no greater thing than elevating those individuals' voices, right? But when you talk to those individuals, if they submitted their story to this program, and you talk with them after that experience, they would tell you there's nothing more powerful than seeing their experience reflected back to them through these actors. So thank you to the actors in the front of you. Thank you to our staff, which does every day amazing work to make, I would say, in some respects, miracles happen for people. Second to none, and it's amazing because patients and families deserve nothing less. So welcome, and I hope you enjoyed tonight's program. I'm going to hand it off to Hannah Stevens from the McCarter Theater. Enjoy your evening.
Hello, everybody. My name is Hannah Stevens, and I am the Education Programs Manager from the McCarter Theater Center. And we are so honored to be the first event that is happening in this beautiful new space. And we are so grateful to be on our 5th year of partnering for this project. It is so special. It is something that we look forward to every year, and that is really a highlight for us at McCarter. So I want to say a few thank yous. I want to thank Rachel, Kyle, Amy, Allison, and every member of the Crossroads for Hope staff who made this possible with your support. I want to thank the McCarter team, our actors, our incredible director and playwright, Celine Dirks, for all of the work, the passion, the dedication, the care that they have put into making this piece happen tonight. And I want to say thank you to the submitters, to the writers, for sharing these gifts of your stories with us. We've been in rehearsal today. We've been reflecting on how every single piece is so unique and so vulnerable and so courageous and so creative. And we feel really honored to be able to be part of putting these stories out there and of bringing them to life. Theater is really uniquely situated as a vehicle for storytelling because it's about collaboration. It can't happen in a vacuum. It's all about what we do when we're together. So the writers that shared their words and their truth, and then it was woven together by our incredible playwright and director, and then the actors bring voice to it, and now theater becomes theater when we share it with an audience. So this is really where the magic happens and where the piece comes to life. So we thank you for being here, for your support, and for engaging in this really special piece with us tonight. I want to quote one of the actors during today's rehearsal who said, "We understand life through the stories that we tell." And that really hit me. I was like, whoa. So we hope that for this piece tonight, you get to enjoy these stories and hopefully get a little bit of new understanding maybe that you didn't have before. So that is my thank you for me. And without further ado, I would now like to invite the actors up onto the stage to get us started. My shadow partner.
Music courses through me, making me sway, making me swing my hips, making me dance. The rhythms and the lyrics fill my soul, and joy permeates every fiber of my being. I smile, I dance, I let loose, I feel sexy, I'm beautiful, alive, I just feel. I close my eyes, there you are, holding me tight. I breathe in your cologne and rest my head on your strong shoulders. Your eyes twinkle with mischief as you spin me around to the music. Challenge accepted. I keep pace, light on my feet, secured in your arms. I giggle and flirt, teasing you with my shoulders and hips. We sing, we dance, we kiss. You indulge my every whim. The first to the dance floor, the last to leave. I love dancing, so you dance. My heart skips a beat as the song winds down. I open my eyes, but you are not there. And tears stream down my face as the song fades away, replacing my joy with sadness. I am alone.
The in-between hour. I sit staring at the morning dawn. Not too dark, not too light. An in-between zone. The morning should hold promises of possibilities, opportunities, adventures not yet realized. Instead, it's a moment of deep sorrow. The unknown of what's awaiting me when you're gone fills me with the desire to just sit and cry, to do nothing. Loneliness spreads through every fiber of my body, momentarily paralyzing all thoughts and movements. I know I must start the day. I know, but I resist. It's my time. Can I make it stop? The day is starting, but I'm not ready. The minutes go by, I make a slight move, a slight action, a small decision to move on, do something, anything. Here's this little task. I can do that. Another, then another. I move from the in-between zone. I'm gonna be okay. The sun rises and I know I can do this. Thank you, God. Thank you for another day. Forgive my weakness. Yes, morning is here and I will go on. Overflow.
Drips of unshed tears are poured into my bucket, safely kept out of sight, nice and tidy. Every change in you brings a tear, be it a loss of dexterity, a lost word, an unexpected seizure, a weakened gait. difficult bowels, nausea, headache, fears, frustration. The list goes on and on. A new challenge dealt with, a challenge overcome, or should I say simply accustomed to. Your sleep drags longer, the hours quiet and lonely. Elusive moments of connection overshadowed by hours of silence. A growing sense of helplessness settles in my soul. Tiredness slowly baking into my bones. Despair kept at bay. But the bucket fills. A meaningless, simple act or word leads to an overflowing drip, trickling down the side. Senseless, really. Nothing major. Yet, nothing becomes something in the overflowing bucket.
Falling in love again.
I look at you lying there, frail, tired, so changed from the robust man you used to be. At first, my mind thought this knew you, afraid I'd lose my memories of who you were. I scroll through my photos and videos and hear your voice. See you playing with the grandkids. See your smile and endless energy. Your voice now is slow, deliberate, sounding out each syllable. I find myself smiling as you utter, yeah. Slowly, like a song chord. Yeah. My heart beats as I get reacquainted with this music. What is the sound? I feel myself falling in love yet again with this new version of you. Your smile is different, like a tender grimace. A challenge for me to make you laugh, to get the perfect photo. Success and pleasure surge through me. Then there's your eyes. They follow me. I see you checking me out. As always, you make me feel beautiful. Desired. I tease you. We flirt, enjoying the intimacy of our love, a love that continues to grow and evolve. And through it all, there's your physical presence, so different now and yet somehow more powerful. I remember your physical strength. There was nothing you couldn't do. Now I see this same strength manifest differently, with grace, resolve, and courage as you tackle any ball thrown your way by this deadly cancer. What a man. My heart beats like a teenager, infatuated with this new you. Love evolving and growing no matter what comes our way. Gone are your strong, callous hands, replaced by thin, long, soft fingers. Your right hand remains furrowed, locked away from me, but in the quiet darkness, there are those precious moments when it unfurls. Gently, so gently, I caress her open palm and weave our fingers together. For those stolen moments, we hold family. So, I know now I am doing the holding for us both. But it doesn't matter. In this tender moment, we are young lovers again, finding connection wherever we can, falling in love yet again.
For most of my life, cancer was not just distant possibility. It was a painful reality. My mother and my grandmother both lost their lives to ovarian cancer. And deep down, I always feared that my genes might carry the same fate. But no one ever told me about genetic testing. And for years, I was left wondering, worrying, and hoping I was wrong. It wasn't until 10 years ago that my primary care provider introduced me to the world of BRCA1 genetic testing and the preventative screenings available to me. For the first time, I had options. I had a choice. And while the fear of a positive test result lingered, the uncertainty of not knowing felt even heavy. A few years later, I finally found the courage to get tested, and the wait was agonizing. 5 long weeks filled with endless thoughts, bracing myself for whatever truth awaited for me. And then, on Christmas Eve, my genetic counselor called. It was positive for the BRCA1 mutation. Fear washed over me, but strangely, so did relief. Knowing meant I could take action. Knowing meant I could take control of my health and future instead of living in the unknown. Pre-Vivor, a word that changed my life. I learned that being a pre-Vivor meant standing at the crossroads between risk and prevention, between fear and empowerment. It meant facing tough decisions head on and choosing what was right for me. Some choose surveillance, some choose surgery, and some choose to wait. There is no right or wrong path, only the one that feels aligned with your life and values. I chose to take action. And that decision has shaped my entire journey. But beyond my personal story, I want others to know. Genetic testing is available, and no one should have to wait years to learn about it. Your choices are yours to make. There is no pressure, only empowerment. Knowledge is power, and with it, you can write your own story. As I stepped into a life as a pre-Vivor, I wanted to honor my journey in a way that felt authentic to me. And a tattoo wasn't for me, but jewelry was. I loved the idea that I could wear something every day to symbolize not only who I am, but what I've been through. Jewelry has a unique ability to tell a story without words. It can be a quiet reminder of strength or a bold statement of resilience. Whether worn as a quiet symbol of survival or an open declaration of resilience, these pieces are more than jewelry. They are reminders that strength takes many forms, and every journey, no matter how it looks, is worth recognizing. Broken, yet
unbreakable.
That's what my jewelry represents. That's what my journey has taught me, and that's what I want others to feel when they wear it. Cancer does not look the same for everyone. Some fight battles against cancer itself, while others carry genetic risks and shape their choices. Some support loved ones through treatment, while others advocate for awareness and change. That's why I'm sharing my journey. Not just for me, but for everyone out there who may be facing hereditary cancer risks, fear of the unknown, and the weight of tough decisions. If my story can help even one person find the strength to learn more about genetic testing, cancer mutations, and their options, then sharing it was worth it. if you're navigating your own genetic risk, know you're not alone. If you are searching for answers, keep advocating for yourself. And if you want to honor your journey, find a way that feels true to you. Whether it's story or storytelling or simply living with intention. Because we are broken, yet unbreakable.
I got a deadline the other day, not for a bill or an essay, but for my life.
It's cancer.
They say. Not my pelvis or back where I had the pain, but a tumor growing slowly and silently. First in the lung, then in my tailbone. But it doesn't make sense. There's no way to explain not pancreatic or colon, what runs in the genes, but EGFRs, non-smokers, lung disease.
Don't
be alarmed,
but
But
it's stage 4. No way to foresee.
They don't know what caused it. Chalk dust, plastics, could be. I knew that I'd die someday, but now it's so real. I don't know exactly how I should feel. First, numbness, then shock, soon become disbelief. But I'm feeling fine, now turns into grief. They say expiration dates are often suggestions, like expired food, OTC meds, and pensions. Is this end of life forecast like milk that goes sour the day after it's stamped or within the next hour? Will I be another dot put on a chart of doctors' projections of how long I lasted? Or will I defy the trend since I'm healthy and active? Will I get a time bonus for taking care of myself? Or will I wither away and be put on a shelf? Just what do they know about what lies ahead? Whether next year I'm alive or I'm dead? What do I do first? Tell my family and friends, buy a plot, scream and curse, put my affairs in order, redo my old will, go through diaries and photos, give away my old clothes, leave a list of possessions, enough with all those. There's nothing to do. Just live life at full speed. Learn French, speak in Spanish, teach English to our neighbors, and read. Pursue your ambitions. Make a bucket list. Do it. Take a chance, follow through, buy new clothes. Screw it. Keep improving, keep dancing, keep creating your art. Share what you're holding dear in your heart. Don't sweat the small stuff. Keep up with the news. Don't wallow. Don't just wallow. Do something. Put yourself in their shoes. Make a difference. Help others. There's nothing to lose. Don't waste a moment trying to please. Be true to yourself. Get down on your knees. See friends more than ever. Give your family a kiss. Tell your loved ones you love them. Tell them all you will miss. You won't get it all done. That's okay. See and feel. Slow yourself down. Take deep breaths. And be real. Embrace orange sunsets. Inhale fragrant flowers. Travel all that you can. Meditate. Take long showers. Enjoy movies and shows. Be romantic. Hold hands. Enjoy scrumptious food. Walk on silvery sand. Don't you get discouraged and don't you complain. Count your blessings each day. Lift your face to the rain. Feel grateful for everything you have now today. And one day, someday, it will be the day. You knew it was coming. No need to feel stressed. For you can rest well knowing you've done your best.
My mother was diagnosed with breast cancer when I was 12 and in the 6th grade. I did not really know what that meant or entailed. I was a kid with a sick mother. Occasionally, I'd see or hear her throwing up in the toilet. Her hair fell out. She gained weight. Her face was bloated. I saw her with one breast intact. I can picture the bra she wore with the fake boob inside to fill the missing link. One day, my mom came home from an outing. On top of her head was a wig. As a tween, my first reaction wasn't about my mother, it was about how I felt. And I did not hold back on that. I let my mother know that I hated it through words, through tears. I ran up to my room. I thought how embarrassing it would be to have people see my mother with this fake fluffy hair. Some days she would wear the wig despite it being super itchy. Other days she would say, screw it, and walk around with some very, very thin hair on top of her head. From age 0 to 12, I had this beautiful looking mother with brown flowing hair. And now she was almost unrecognizable. Where had my mother gone? And why would someone do this to her, to us? My mom felt a lump when she was pregnant with my sister. She had to wait until she gave birth in order to have a mammogram. She got the grim news when she was only 41, with a newborn 9 and 12-year-old. For 8 years she fought. At 49, I held her hand in the hospital. I tried to say goodbye the best way I could. I had no privacy. Doctors and nurses were looking through the window, and I felt rushed. Shortly after my brief time with her, she passed. When I think of how I saw my mother at ages 12 to 20 versus how I see her now, 25 years later, perspective is the #1 word that comes to mind. Embarrassment is completely washed away with admiration. Innocence is replaced with full understanding. Bluntness squashed by empathy. Bald and breastless, now rising to the top as most beautiful warrior ever seen. They say that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. What they don't say is how much one's eye can change throughout life's journey. As a 47-year-old mom now, with 3 kids of my own, I can only hope to show the type of courage to my children that she showed me. Even if I do, they won't understand or appreciate it now, but they will. I try to imagine all of the thoughts, fears, and worries running through my mom's head when she became alone. Knowing that it was there and that it was nothing that she could do but wait. Then to be given the news shortly after having a baby. Giving birth in itself is absolutely exhausting. She was never given the chance to fully recover. She needed to go right into Wonder Woman. How did she still manage to make dinner every night? Keep on top of the laundry, help with school-related activities? How does she keep going with a smile on her face? As a teen, I just saw it as being a mom. But presently, I am in awe. I'm a relatively healthy female, and I find day-to-day living exhausting. I run out of steam by 3 p.m. every day, but she kept going and going no matter what. Getting dressed each morning is a pain in the ass. This shirt makes me look blah. These pants are too tight. This color does not suit me. How did my mom feel getting ready each and every morning? It wasn't about fashion or looking good. It was about putting on her specialty bra, inserting a boob mold, and finding a shirt that buttoned up to make it easy. It didn't matter what brand it was or how it fit her figure. And then she would make the decision of being natural with the most bald head or wearing an itchy wig. Each and every one. If I could go back and talk to my 12 to 20-year-old self, this is what I would say.
Love people wholeheartedly.
Despite flaws, differing views on their good days, on their bad days, you only get one lifetime to show it.
Always be empathetic.
Even if someone has a huge smile on their face, you never know what they may be facing. If they are looking sad, maybe a simple hello can change their day or even their life.
Don't put things off.
If you want to do it, then do it. There is no such thing as a perfect time.
Respect and love your parents.
You would not be here without them. Yeah, they drive you crazy. But they mean well, don't take them for granted. Cherish every single moment. When we are young, we may roll our eyes at having to do things with the family. Those same eyes will look back at the memories with water in them.
A treat today. The nurses offered me a treat. 2 needles shot into both sides of my ass at once instead of the monthly standard one at a time. One nurse was tall and thin with dark, chin-length, curly hair, those curls I have always wished for. And the other one, a shorter woman with blonde straight locks, the color of which I never wished for. They joked about me getting to pick who was the better injector competition. Well, neither was better. They both hurt like hell. The sting became a live wire, a state of being shot straight into my thighs, my bare ass tensing in rebellion, and the left hurt first. The right barely registered, but then, suddenly, the right caught up with the left, a violent jolt, and the right outdid the left. Perhaps it was a competition, but not between my ebony and ivory-haired nurses, a competition between 2 needles. No true winner emerged, just loser me, with pain and anger that this must be done over and over and over and over and over. We shoot you up to keep you alive, so stay and be grateful. Am I not grateful? Am I not? I do not know. I am not ready to leave this world. I don't know what happens next. And I fear the end like anyone else, but all this pain and suffering, how did I not know that this is what life meant? How did I not sympathize with my mother more as life closed in around her with mine so close behind?
I was
not prepared.
In only a few months, Dad's weight dropped significantly. He hadn't tried to shed the pounds and fat. He loved to eat. And he loved being big and strong, but we loved that as a young man. But shortly after he retired, his energy slowed. His skin sagged, his clothes hung, and then came the deep, loose cough. I was not prepared for his blood test results for the X-ray. Both confirmed stage 4 lung cancer.
I was not prepared
for that diagnosis. In an instant, I was hollow inside, retreating into a cocoon and remembering myself as a toddler, the only daughter, Daddy's little girl. I reminisced when he called me fancy names. The name stuck even after I abandoned my ruffled rubber pants. Then I recalled my graduation when he stood tall and proud, cheering me on. I was not prepared for the description of the large, living parasite that took up residence in Dad's lungs. That big, nasty leech with an insatiable appetite, using Dad's body as the host, draining his strength and his stamina. So where did the monster come from? Yes, he was a smoker decades before, but there was more. Dad was a World War II hero, a fighter pilot. The best of the best, the epitome of the greatest generation. As one of the youngest tigers in the sky, his plane, the Flower of Philly, was his companion on aerial missions. But there was that one mission, August 6, 1945, the day the world changed. The day that Dad and his fellow pilots were informed only that this mission was important. A big one. Different. But with no more details. Just an order. When complete, do not fly through the dirty air. Dirty air? What's that? The pilots were not told. When mission day arrived, the sky was covered with planes. Dad's was one of them. It was only then that he knew his mission was not only important, but also historic. My dad, a 22-year-old boy from Tioga, Philadelphia, helped end World War II. Afterwards, he stayed in the occupation of Japan for 2 more years, absorbing unimaginable amounts of radiation. He either did not know the seriousness of his decision to stay, or wasn't told the likely consequence for me. Remember, he was only 22. Many of Dad's fellow officers in the occupation died young, mostly in their early 30s and mostly of blood cancers. That was lucky. We were lucky, but now karma reared its ugly head. I was not prepared to hear the doctors say that they never saw a tumor in me. Dose after dose of chemotherapy, weeks of radiation didn't help. It was almost like the growth was defiant and saying, bring it on. My mother and I were Dad's caregivers. We watched helplessly as he suffered through the effects of chemotherapy and radiation, unrelenting fatigue, restlessness, insomnia, brain fog, constant nausea, and vomiting. He was skin and bones. Mom and I mirrored many of the symptoms, perhaps empathy, or maybe just due to exhaustion. And then he died. I was not prepared for the largest limb on the fairy tree to dry up and break off, never to return. I was not prepared for the finality of death, the gut-wrenching emptiness of grief that pervades the body, the mind and spirit. Grief, a cancer of its own, filled Mom and me with indescribable sadness and hopelessness. But when the shock cleared
And life
Moved on.
I realized a few things. First, no one is ever truly prepared for death, whether it is long in coming or sudden. There's always a shock and an adjustment period to reestablish equilibrium in the body, mind, and spirit. And second, most importantly, I learned the deeper grief, the stronger you get. As time goes on, the strength of love lost permeates every part of your being and helps you carry on with a determination and fortitude that you never knew you possessed.
I awoke profoundly sad, as if every joyful atom was removed from my program. Simply incapable of understanding what it is to be anything other than anguish. Tears welled slowly enough to blink back into submission, yet it remained, its tears still, this sorrowful pain. Reticent, unwilling to release its grasp. I don't know why or how to move. It just seems to grow more each time I do. And the lies sit wet upon my eyes as I smile and say, don't worry, I'm okay.
I saw the documentary last night, Becoming Zeppelin. I remembered how much I liked them. So my gratitude list today is the opening line to one of my favorite Zeppelin songs, From Fool in the Rain. There's a light in your eye that keeps shining, like a star that can't wait for the night. This lyric has always made me feel happy, excited, as if adventure was right around the corner. It represents that time between late adolescence, early childhood, where life was filled with possibilities, adventure, travel, and new experiences. The awkwardness of adolescence was behind me, and life's mistakes, failures, regrets, etc. hadn't really occurred yet. It was the moment of possibilities. To be reflective once again, 30 years sobriety and surviving cancer is more than a second chance. It represents hope, excitement, adventure, and new beginnings. I enter my first year of cancer survivorship with the gift of life, possibility, and hope.
Dear Steve, we peacefully partnered for over 50 years. You grew as I grew. Both of us changed as we aged, becoming denser and more substantial as we progressed from child to adult. And then from motherhood to menopause. Back when we were in our 30s, we learned the customary dance. You knew your steps and I knew mine. We did this repetitive do-si-do as the technician scanned the images on the screen. At the end of the perennial boogie woogie, we'd hear, all clear, see you next year. But not this time. This time, you lost your footing, and your imperfections sashayed onto the dance floor. Our shared rhythm was destroyed, ruined in an instant. Our graceful duet ended that day. We would never trip the light fantastic again. I wanted you removed, right from my sight. And I wanted you to take your left friend with you. I want you to know that you changed me that day from a prancing dancer to a patient with cancer. But I also became a thriving survivor despite your efforts. Yes, I look different. I am also freer, lighter, healthier. Your betrayal will never be forgotten or forgiven. I have come full circle in my journey, from wounded to restored. I owe my poetry a heartfelt thank you for helping me find a way out of the darkness of illness. I am not the person I was when I began this cancer voyage 5 years ago. I've learned to nurture my body and mind. I plan to live a full life and be around for many new, exciting adventures. Good riddance, your human vessel.
We never imagined that a cancer diagnosis would redefine my life in the most unexpected way. When I was diagnosed in 2012, my world shattered. The fear, the uncertainty, and physical toll of treatment were overwhelming. But what lingered long after the treatment ended was something I hadn't anticipated. Anxiety, self-doubt, and the feeling that I lost a part of myself. Before cancer, I was a different person. I struggled with confidence, often questioning my worth and direction in life. But the battle against cancer was not just physical, it was emotional. stripping me down to my most vulnerable state. I survived, but I felt lost. I wondered, what now? Who am I beyond this fight? That answer came unexpectedly in the form of animals. I have always loved animals, but during my healing journey, I found solace in their presence. Their quiet understanding, unconditional love, and resilience spoke to me in a way nothing else could. And I began researching, and I was heartbroken to learn that farm animals are among the most abused and neglected creatures in the world. At that moment, something clicked. I could give them the second chance that I longed for. In 2018, I founded a place where abused and neglected farm animals find safety and love and a forever home. And it became more than just a rescue, it became my sanctuary too. Caring for these animals gave me purpose. Bottle feeding a frail baby goat, rehabilitating an abandoned turkey, or simply sitting in a pasture surrounded by rescued animals. All of it healed me in ways I had never expected. With every animal I saved, I found myself growing stronger. My anxiety eased, my confidence returned, and I started believing in myself again. The sanctuary wasn't just about rescuing animals, it was about rescuing myself. Each animal I saved reminded me of my own fight. The moments of fear, struggle to survive, and ultimately, the triumph of hope. Today I stand stronger than ever. Not just as a cancer survivor, but as a woman who has found her voice, her passion, and her purpose. My journey taught me that even in our darkest moments, there is light ahead. Cancer tried to break me, but instead, it led me to a life more meaningful than I could have ever imagined. And to anyone facing cancer right now, hold on. Your journey isn't over. There is hope, there is purpose, and there is a future full of possibility. You are stronger than you know. And on the other side of this battle, you will find the person you will always be. For me, that person is someone who wakes up every day knowing that both people and animals deserve a second chance. And I'm honored to be a part of that story. Cancer changed my life, but it also gave me the chance to change the lives of others.
I adore Edith Wharton. This afternoon's program, The Muse and the Mount, hopefully will lift my spirits after a downward moment.
Quickly, everybody,
The library moderator barks.
grab a spot.
I flop into a seat, drop my coat, adjust my neck push.
No!
Shoots the princess like blonde beside me. She tucks her pillar from beneath my butt. There are two ways.
Is the spreading light to the candle or the mirror?
Edith whispers, "It's the last seat I plead gave me," then flash a candlelight bright smile.
It's my BFF.
Princess chuckles.
She's like, she loses.
The moderator's voice rises in a drum roll.
Who's ready to read Age of Innocence?
Our hands and my adrenaline shoot up. Low the
Flame higher.
Edith coaches. I raise my dog-eared copy, fan the pages. Let's go.
I read the Spark Note.
Princess says proudly.
While in Florida.
I frown, cross my arms, but try for the mirror. Newland's visit with Mather was so sad, I say sagely.
St. Augustine? I had a bad time, but Disney World?
My chest tightens, my pulse quickens, I try to keep eye contact and make appropriate faces.
The Avatar ride rocked. Oh, and Space Mountain?
Back the book cover, sworn, be
tolerant. She is of her time, a social place.
Needed cautions, the director's microphone blasts.
Now we've got a movie, a tour of Phoenix luxurious home on the mountain.
I roll my eyes. I'm done. I grab my coat, blow kisses to the princess, and stumble toward the door where I bump into a sturdy woman wearing a large hat with fabric roses.
Are you okay?
This presses my brown bush, and I tumble, but she helps me up hardly. I snort. Hazel eyes and a pleasing but mostly plain face.
I'm so sorry.
I soften. I'm winded, that's all. She touches my toe, places behind my hand.
You look familiar. Have I met before?
At a conference? I'm Lily, I'm a writer.
Perhaps.
She grips my palm and shakes it elegantly.
Leaving?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Me too.
She rolls her eyes.
The conversation.
The conversation. There's nothing like it is there. I sing in a melodious falsetto. I hope it sounds like Mr. Hartford.
The air of ideas is the only air worth breathing.
She finishes the quote, then strikes a pose like I've seen in a photo of Edith, and then she grabs my arm.
Beware of monotony. It's the mother of all deadly sins. Let's get out of here.
Set wide the window, I troll. Let me drink the day.
Okay, Lily.
She says in a southern like Victoria voice.
I can give you a cup of tea in no time, and you won't need any more.
I fling off my cloak and we discuss the book. She tugs off her hat to reveal her own bare skull. Then locks on and grins.
I thought you would never ask.
One,
Don't call me dear.
two,
Two, three,
The light touch on the shoulder.
four,
four,
The averted eyes.
Five.
Something speaking softly.
Six.
Don't.
seven,
Here's what to say.
8,
Anything else?
9,
Chemo?
10,
When I nod,
11.
you got this. You're a fighter. You're strong. Good for you.
12,
Anything but dear.
13,
I will embrace you if you need to talk.
14.
Your mother, your sister, your friend, or
15,
I know.
16,
Because you look tears in your eyes.
17,
And I look confused.
18, 19,
I too have had friends die.
20,
In a matter of months, even with chemo.
21,
And a friend who thought of everything.
22,
For stage 4 lung cancer, stretching out for 10 years.
23,
And one friend who chose not to treat and was gone in 9 months.
24,
Juicing blueberry.
25, 26,
I chose to fight.
27, 28, 29, 30,
It's a no bra day.
31,
Steroids wore off at 5.
32,
Right in the middle of a writer's here.
33,
3 time zones, Pacific, Mountain Central.
34,
Gotta go, I'm feeding.
35, 36,
Then the bones hurt.
37,
Eating pads, Advil,
38,
Oxy to sleep.
39,
Wake up with an Oxy hangover.
40,
How can someone get hooked on this?
41, 42,
Hop on my writing and jammies call,
43,
3-hour time difference.
44,
8:30 a.m. call for them.
45,
5:30 a.m. for me.
46,
I made my check-in at 7:10 my time.
47,
They didn't half an hour.
48, 49,
My fellow writers will be together.
50,
Meeting of you.
51,
You okay?
52,
Yeah, I'll be fine on Monday.
53,
I just have to suffer for
54,
You're an inspiration.
55,
Me? Just muddling through.
56, 57,
Oh, take the frost off of the tomatoes.
58,
Once it warms up to 50 degrees.
59,
Maybe I can get away with not watering them today.
60, 61,
Check the zucchini to help pollination.
62,
The female blooms wither before the male blooms appear.
63.
There's still hope for zucchini if they will pollinate.
64, 65,
I'm the lucky one.
66,
Cancer is gone now with the surgery.
67,
Chemo is fine.
68,
10 years, I hope, until I'm 85.
69,
Need to see my grandson around.
70,
71.
Don't call me dear.
72.
I cover my bald head with cats handed down from friends,
73,
wrapping me in love.
74,
The friend sends poems.
75, 76,
Look at me with pride.
77,
I believe in science.
78,
I'm part of the research.
79,
Doctors will learn from me
80,
and add it to their knowledge.
81,
And one day we will beat this.
82, 83, 84, 85. When we moved to Colorado in 2020, I decided our place needed a name. I'd grown up watching TV ranches where homes had identities, Southport, Shiloh, the Ponderosa, and I wanted that same sense of belonging. Ours sat on 11 acres of uneven land outside Masonville, ringed by hills and wind. I wanted a name that felt rooted, something we could live up to. I didn't really know yet at that time that a name would one day become a metaphor for survival. My first project was building a fence. We bought cedar posts and rails, and I picked up a 1952 Ford 8.9 tractor with an auger to drill the holes. The machine had only about 20 horsepower and even less predictability. Sometimes the auger bit straight, other times it wandered an inch or two off the mark like it had opinions of its own. After 6 holes, I realized there was no universe in which this fence was going to be perfectly straight. At first, I was frustrated. I wanted clean lines, like the kind you see in magazines. But with perfection required tools and a back that I didn't have, so I adapted. I curved the lines, turned corners into arcs, and let the terrain decide where the posts should stand. That's how the crooked fence was born. We set out about 140 posts, mixed concrete in the heat, stained boards until our arms ached. My wife, Natalie, and our daughter joined in, brushing on coats of cedar stain until the rails glowed. They glowed cedar brown in the sunset. The air smelled of wood, sweat, and concrete, mostly concrete dust. It wasn't perfect, but it was ours. When we finished, I stood back and I looked at what we made. It bent in all the wrong places, but it looked alive. Every curve told a story of compromise and stubbornness. It wasn't the fence I planned, however, it was better. 2 years later, cancer came. Diffuse large B-cell lymphoma, a tumor the size of a cantaloupe pressing against my spine. In the months that followed, the fence became more than a project. It became a metaphor I could hold on to when everything else fell apart. Hospitals, surgeries, chemo, septic shock, CAR-T therapy. It all bent the straight lines of my life. And like that fence, I had to learn to curve instead of break. There's a kind of grace in perfection. When I was building the fence, I didn't know that lesson at that time. I just knew the auger kept wandering. But after cancer, I understood that what the fence had been teaching me, strength isn't about symmetry. It's about endurance. The fence still stands in our yard. Through snow, wind, and hail, the posts hold. They lean, they settle, but they stay connected. Every time I look at them, I see survival. During treatment, I wore one of those crooked fence hats almost every day. When my hair fell out from chemo, the hat covered more than a bald head. It covered fear. It became armor. Then one week, on a team video call at work, my colleague surprised me. Every single person logged in wearing a hat. Not the same one, just whatever they had. They coordinated it behind my back. It was their way of saying, I'm with you. I took a screenshot. I still have it. A lineup of faces in little boxes, all wearing hats. Probably the least intimidating softball team you're ever gonna see. One of the kindest things anyone's ever done for me. After 31 years of marriage, I've learned Natalie doesn't do sentiment for sentiment's sake. She's practical, driven, and allergic to self-pity. When I came home from septic shock, weak and stitched together, she'd already transformed our guest room into what we now call Cancer Suite. She installed rails, a shower chair, and curtains. She cut it down with a saw because the rod was 2 inches too long. Everything worked. She was, as always, building crooked lines that still stood strong. The crooked fence is all over our property now, on hats, coasters, kitchen towels, shot glasses we never use. It's become our shorthand for endurance. When things go wrong, we just say, add another bend to the fence. Cancer didn't save me by erasing what was broken. It saved me by teaching me how to live inside the bend, how to find strength in imperfection, humor in exhaustion, and faith in places that tilt.
Our fence is crooked.
Our life is split.
And both are still standing.
That's enough.
Hi, everyone. For those that may not know me, my name is Kyle Jackham. I am one of the oncology social workers here at Crossroads of Hope, and I have been working here for almost 7 years now. I started here as an intern and then became a social worker and started here. So I am pleased to just be on the stage, honestly. I do have a speech. It took me forever to honestly write something because 5 years for this program has been something that has just been, honestly, something that was just came out of an idea. But first, before I get into that speech, I would love to do another round of applause for the actors. One more round of applause for the amazing director for tonight. So, I want to just thank you for sitting with these stories tonight. What you just witnessed were not characters or abstract narratives, or something created for a stage. These were real experiences, real words, real lives, real emotions. They were shared by members of our community, patients, caregivers, survivors, and those who may have lost someone to cancer. Those are the kinds of stories that often live quietly inside people, because there isn't always space for them in the world. Because sometimes it feels safer to keep them tucked away. Because sometimes the pain, the fear, the anger, the grief, or even the hope feels too big to explain. And yet tonight, these stories were spoken out loud, in the open, and that matters. This program exists again and again because I have seen how powerful it is when people are given the space to tell the truth about what they've lived. As an oncology social worker and as a cancer survivor myself, I know how deeply isolating a diagnosis, treatment, or loss can be. I know how lonely it can feel to carry these experiences in your body and in your heart. And I also know how validating it can be to hear someone else name the same fear, name the same anger, the same exhaustion, or even the same fragile, complicated hope that you've been holding on to. Since this program began in 2021, 87 stories have been shared in this space, 87 moments of people's lives, 87 pieces of truth, 87 different ways cancer, loss, and survivorship have changed someone. Each one written in a moment of honesty. Each one offered with courage. Each one a reminder that behind every diagnosis, every caregiver, every loss, and every survivorship story, there's a whole human experience. And I want to speak directly to the writers for a moment, the people whose words we heard tonight and the many whose words have been shared over the years. You did something incredibly brave. You put your inner world on paper. You allowed others to step into some of the most tender, painful, confusing, and meaningful moments of your life. You trusted this space to hold it. And that is a gift not just to us, but to everyone who sees themselves reflected in your words. So I'd like to give a round of applause for the writers. Over the years, I've had the privilege of working with many individuals whose stories were shared tonight and in the past performances. I've also stepped into the vulnerable space myself by sharing some of my own written pieces. I know firsthand how exposed that can feel, but I also know how healing it can be. As a social worker, I know very well how incredibly therapeutic writing is, just as hearing other stories can be. It's a reminder that our reactions, whatever they are normal, that we are not doing this wrong, that there is no single correct way to move through cancer or loss or survivorship or grief. I also want to deeply acknowledge our actors, our director, and everyone involved in bringing these words to life. It takes immense care, respect, and empathy to hold stories like this and share them so honestly. You didn't just perform them, you honored them. And that was felt in this room today. What I will hope you leave with tonight is this. If something resonated with you, if a story gave you another perspective, if you felt seen in a way you weren't expecting, you are not alone in that. These stories connect us. They remind us that there is strength in speaking and just as much strength in listening. That even in the hardest experiences, you don't have to feel invisible. Thank you for being part of this space. Thank you for bearing witness. Thank you for holding these stories with so much care. And now, has been a privilege to moderate this next portion of the program, our talk back, where we will invite the actors up and a few writers on the stage, and then reflect with everyone in the audience.
Yeah. Okay.
those that have not seen the talk back, it's where I'm going to ask questions to the actors who will be able to just really reflect and share what their experience was, as well as any emotions. I'll bring some writers up on stage, and then I will open it up to all of the that would love to hear everyone's thoughts. So, for the first question I have for the actors is, was there a moment or line that felt especially heavy or grounding for you?
I had mentioned this earlier, but the pre-Viver story, I've done a few readings in this vein, cancer stories, caregiver stories, some with other theaters as well, and I'd mentioned that it's incredible that with every new selection of work, there's not a single story that is repeated. And that was mentioned a few times in the pieces here today, but the pre-Viver story resonated with me because it was the first time I've read something that took place before the cancer diagnosis, the preparation. You hear a lot of the journey, the cancer diagnosis during the chemotherapy and the treatment and what the impact on your family and your friends, and then after for survivor stories. But it was a truly unique perspective to see what happens beforehand and the toll that it could take, and to weigh the facts that you have options and that you can be prepared, but what a toll that in itself takes, because truly who knows what the right answer is, right? And that so it's beautiful, and I will go and take action myself and be prepared, you know.
Oh, you still have it. Something that really jumped out to me in the performance that I think surprised me, because we had gone over the script a couple of times and that sort of thing. But the thing that jumped out to me in reading it just now tonight was the ending of my longer poem, and I don't remember the exact words because I don't have the script in front of me, but it's like, basically says, live life to the fullest, and someday it will be over, but you can rest easy knowing that you did your best. And that was deeply profound in reading that this evening, knowing this this almost peace with the journey and being able to honor the journey that we had, that the writers have been on, that your community has gone through. One of the most powerful things we can do is life is messy and doesn't really obey narrative rules. So one of the best ways that we can have power over the chaos of life is to draw narratives. And so that was really wonderful to see in all the pieces, but especially that particular.
I feel like choosing is like, did I just complete I was I feel like choosing among all of the voices in this piece is like trying to like pick your favorite kid.
Yeah.
Like it's just impossible. I think what I love about each piece and every single voice, it just shows that there's no right answer. There's no way that you're supposed to feel. There's nothing that is supposed to be a certain way. And so it just makes everything okay. And I think it's a really important reminder for families. Like I lost my dad to cancer. Like, so I feel like you go through this journey of like thinking you're supposed to feel this way or it's supposed to be this way. And it was just such a lovely representation of like, we're all good. We're all good. However you are, that works.
Yeah, the last piece that I was able to share about the fence and the dynamic of the messiness and the uncertainty and the unrealistic expectation we all get sometimes when we want things to work in a straight line. I don't know about any of you, but my life is not really gone in a straight line. Yeah. But all the beautiful things that you can still discover in that curve, and those things that were brought out, it was a reminder and a refresher to me to find the joy in what you may even consider the mess, because there's a lot to be found. And it moved me when I first read it, when I first got the script. That's what got me. I may cry in the car, but not in front of you all. I have an image to uphold, but no, it was just everything. All the pieces were just so similar themes, but there is so much that can be found in who we are individually, but also the recognition that we are not so very different in the things that move us. And that gives me comfort, because sometimes you can be, there are billions of people on this planet, and there are times you can feel like nobody gets you or nobody gets it. Well, I think more people do. We just may be walking past them every day and not speaking. But the curve, there's beauty in the curve.
Alicia, you had touched upon this just in your response, but anyone else, it's stepping into someone else's lived experience, shift how you think about illness, grief, or just resilience.
It's a weird journey as an actor because you usually bring truth to cats. So you bring your truth, you bring your craft. And this is kind of an interesting dynamic of starting with truth and trying to bring ourselves to that place to fully represent the truth.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was an interesting experience, but the resilience of every single piece, I feel like was just, it changed my perspective and showed that there is resilience in all. So, yeah.
I think that, I mean, when I sat down there, when you all kind of just sat down to kind of go over the scripts, just kind of go over some of your thoughts, you had asked everyone to kind of ask, or more so share how it's kind of impacted you when looking at the script. And I remember, I think the first words that you came out with were that it's so vulnerable, and that everything in that script was very vulnerable.
Even the piece with Dear Sea, I love the sauce.
I love that. Love that.
And it just, like, there's a vulnerability there. Even though it has a different tone, it's just being like, you know what? Okay, goodbye. And that sometimes is a really vulnerable place. So to see vulnerability in different lights, I felt was a really interesting experience.
And in that moment, the defiance that you find in a poem like Invictus, you know, I'm the master of my fate, the captain of my soul. What up, though? You know, that got me, because it gets you fired up, and it makes you not want to complain so much about things, you know. That was.
And my last question for the actors is, what did you learn about yourself through telling someone else's story?
I feel that every time I do this, I learn something new. And I'll bring it back to the Pre-Vivor story, because our lovely director asked me to think about what I would do if I was forced to make a decision, or if I was given a diagnosis. And you lean into, are you pragmatic? Are you emotional? Do you have children? Do you have a partner? How young or how old are you? How lively do you feel? You start to ask yourself all of these questions, because that drives the decision you're going to make. So ultimately I leave with, I don't know who I am after every one of your pieces, because they make me question everything that I know, as I'm sure they did for all of you. So.
Something that I became aware of, I've also done a few of these readings, and it's always such a profound experience, and always, it is an emotional journey. But the thing that really jumped out to me today that I was very conscious of is emotions are a very physical experience.
Mhm.
So many of my pieces dealt with like the physical sensation of crying, or at least two of them I can think of pointed to what it was like to have those emotions bubbling up and bubbling over. And it was really profound seeing somebody else put that into words, somebody who's going through as emotional a journey of cancer, and here I am, never having had cancer before myself. But there was just like I don't know, emotions are human, and sometimes, yeah, I mean, just committing something to words will help us understand our own experience even better.
This question's for the director. How did you hold both hope and fear at the same time in this performance?
I feel fortunate in that I didn't actually have to worry about that as much, because what I was holding space for was the stories that were being brought forth, and the stories themselves hold the hope and the fear. And they're also not like contradictory emotions. You can have a lot of hope and a lot of fear at the same time. I think that comes through in several pieces where you feel these like moments of increasing energy, and then maybe a little bit of fear comes in, and you have the increasing hope again, and you feel that journey happen through it. So as I was putting it together, the goal was not necessarily to like keep the contradictions separate from each other. My goal was to tell a story that takes us on a journey through all of the contradictions, through all of the steps, through all of the phases, through all of the goals, and try to cover as much ground as possible to honor all of those stories that have been submitted. So like my big thesis point was always like the words are the central starting point, and the message behind them. So how can I access the core of each of these stories and make sure that that is what comes through in each of them. So that was my focus beyond just holding two separate things.
I feel like we just touched upon the second question I have for you, but if you have anything else to add, is more so how did you balance honoring individual voices while shaping a collective narrative?
Yeah, I do actually have something to add about that, which is when you have a theatrical experience, you're fortunate that it is a group experience, like Hannah mentioned earlier. We are able to do this only because we are together. So I'm lucky that I have in the school itself a collective that I can lean on to kind of create that chorus effect and be like, we are all part of a larger story, we're all telling the story together. And that's kind of what I was trying to do with the sections where people all speak at the same time, is to go into, to balance that individual person who's being highlighted with that universal experience of having those difficult emotions, or even having those uplifting emotions sometimes. One of my favorites today, it was so powerful to me to see it actually performed, is the poem that counts up to 85. Hearing the voices all together land on that last number, that last goal of the year that she attempted to reach. That felt very powerful to me, balanced with the like individual story that Kate was so delicately holding for us. Yes.
Well, I just want to say thank you again to all of you for just, I think the best word to use is honor these stories and to really put so much care and empathy in it. So thank you all.
And thank you all.
Now, invite two writers. So,
Awesome.
So I know that I had told you about the questions ahead of time, but after now seeing the performance, did seeing your story through someone else's voice offer any insight or any sort of healing for you?
It did. It did. It brought me back to a time and place over 2 decades ago. I was the caregiver. So I made the journey with my dad through the cancer. And parallel to that is the grief. You're watching somebody pass away. So it brought me back to that time. But also during, I don't know if you saw me, but I was crying, watching it, listening to it. It made it so real, but at the same time, I realized I am so resilient and I am strong, just like I said in that piece, that the strength of the person who you lose just permeates your entire being, your body, mind, and spirit. And you become stronger and you're able to move on for your life's purpose, to be who you're supposed to be with them, with their strength, guiding you along the way.
Well, Kathleen, do you have anything to add?
Well, for me, as Cal knows, I've done a number of these, and I came to the center first when my husband had pancreatic cancer, and I had breast cancer at the same time. So one of the things that I take away from each of these is that you are never defined by your cancer, you are defined by what you do after your cancer, and finding inspiration and stories. And the story that I have, you all didn't really quite see it, but there's an ending where two people undergoing chemotherapy take their hats off for each other. And the inspiration for that came from someone who is here tonight, who sat next to me last year and told me this wonderful story about driving with his wife, and she had this gorgeous lady, and all of a sudden, this guy comes up from the car side, and he's quite taken with her, and there's some, attraction, and she takes off the wig for this gentleman to see who she really is. And so I just have found enormous inspiration in all the stories and in all the actors, the way they present them. And it's a really wonderful experience.
What do you hope the audience carries with them after hearing the words?
Wow, that's an interesting question. Just if you go, whatever you go through as far as cancer, as far as grief is concerned, just know that it is temporary. All things really do change. All things do pass. And just, as they say, hang in there. It will get better. Don't be defined by your cancer. We are not defined by our cancer. We are defined by our love, our friends, our family, the inspiration we have, the skills we have, the things we bring to the world. So that for me is most important.
I love that. I think my last question for the both of you, what made you feel ready to share your story?
I thought, why not now? Why not revisit? Why not revisit things that happened 20 years ago? Have I moved on? How have I handled it? And of course I have moved on. But I also understand the fact that you never, ever get over grief. You may dry your eyes, you may pick up, and move, go back to work, you go back to your social life, you go back to normalcy. But that grief still remains in your heart. It's still there. I would agree. I can't, in my life, there's so many places that I've gone post the death of my husband, my mom, and my dad. And each time I go to those places, the memories come back. So they stay with you forever and ever. But I think the important thing to realize is they're only memories, and life is before us.
I do want to just say thank you for allowing us to bear witness to your story, and just for allowing us to just be able to really elevate it and to give you a voice. So thank you both. Does anybody have any questions for our writers Sandy?
Not so much a question or observation, and maybe more for the director. You know, she talked about the ebbs and flows and the highs and lows. I think what was very impactful also when each of the actors stood up and lifted their podium and then went down because it kind of, it was the ebb and flow, the highs and lows of the journey.
Very well said, Sandy. So thank you both. Yeah. And now I'm gonna open it up to the audience, so. All right, everyone. So I want to just first thank you all for coming tonight, and two, I really want to just ask, what would it look like to listen to the people in your life the way that you listen tonight? Wow. Yeah.
Well, I think just to hear to say, oh, do this, or something, when you say, it'll be more, you have this and, offer our advice, right? But just to listen to that person, whatever they're going through, they're going to have their ups and downs, or some days they don't want to talk to people. I know survivors, in my family as well. I have someone personally, close to me who lost her battle, leaving her husband 6-year-old at the time, and 13-year-old son behind. And I currently know someone very close, and a friend, very young, that she's going through right now. And so just being there, just to listen, not necessarily saying anything or feeling like you have to offer, just listen.
Yeah. Anyone else? Yeah.
Empathy was the word I took away. We deal with so many people, but we don't know what's going on behind the face. And the message I got from the beautiful form equity here was empathy. Think about it would change the world if we treated each other as one. So that's
My next question is, did any story or line put language to something that you felt but hadn't named before?
There are two stories that really struck my one phrase, unbroken.
Unbreakable.
And the other one is a thankless story. How do I do that? It's over there perfectly, yeah. It's all those things. So those two really struck me in the sense that they reflected that to me, well, I thought it was my experience, but also the experiences of friends and family members and this community. Everyone's on through, but in one way or another. Yeah. That's you, that's. That's really great.
Thank you. Anyone else? Dave?
Just a general observation, and I just wanted to, I think the thing for me that I really appreciate it said something in the reception. I think she mentioned that she lost her dad maybe 20 years ago. And I lost my dad 2 years ago. She said a lot of times caregiving is overlooked. There wasn't really any kind of support for caregivers back when she was caregiving for her dad. There is and was the start of caregiving support now. I found it here right at Crossroads, which is great. And I think we're just right at the cusp of that. So overhearing her, I wasn't describing here, you know, I've shared my story a lot, and I can do that openly. I've also buried a lot, I think, and watching that, and again, that authenticity, just brought back a lot of those feelings. I was not prepared for this. I said that every day for, you know, I don't know how many months, and we weren't, and we only tried to be, you know, the more we learned, I think. So kudos to writers, the actors, the director for bringing it so real with that authenticity, because it was moving.
The one piece that I found, I think, really caused me to step back in terms of reflecting was the piece talking when you were acting as a teenager, like a preteen, and then the reflection of in that story, the switch of perspective within a person, and understanding the reality of what an adolescent goes through and what that looks like, and juxtaposed to an adult, and understanding that that's still fragility, right? And there's vulnerability in that, and that's the driver. And that piece is consistent, but how it's displayed is so very different. I really appreciated that piece. Thank you.
I know that we have people at home watching, and I just don't know if anyone has any comments or questions.
No open comments or questions right now, other than thank you to everyone.
Okay, so I want to ask everyone, just instead of it being a question, I'd rather you just raise your hand. Was there a moment in the performance that made you feel less alone? And anyone at home can also raise their hand. I now just want to open it up to just comments, questions, or just thoughts to the audience, as well as those at home. You're more than welcome to put in the chat box any questions or comments about tonight's performance before we end.
Well, I wanted
to
thank the audience for your energy, and because I know we could feel it, and you all almost got me to cry a couple times. But I said I'm going to hold strong. But thank you so much for, because I think a magical thing happens when people kind of get on one accord and they're all kind of locked in. And I felt that tonight. And that, I know it helped me tell a story that I was supposed to share. And I felt it, you know, with my other actors, just from the difference from earlier today when we were just kind of going through it. And, but it's real. It's real that we were all singing the same things in our own way at the same time. And that was a beautiful experience. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right. Anyone online?
Melania said, I think the question of the stories is displayed in a
I love that. All right, everyone. Well, thank you all. I can't believe that we just had our very first program. Everyone, please get home safe. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Teresa and Dave, if you can come up really quick, and the actors. Yes.
Oh, yes.
Anybody else still have a mic? They got this.
Sorry.
We're gonna take a group photo, I think.